Welcome back everybody to your 5th intermediate Lua scripting tutorial. Today I'm going to show you guys how to write a data store. So I'm going to get right into this. There are two types of data stores. One is an ordered data store and another is a regular data store. We'll just call it regular for our purposes. Probably gonna have to read up on a little documentation here because there are limits to using data stores, although it's gonna be pretty hard to hit them. So first off, let's make a server script. Let's call it DataStore. Data stores can only be used from server scripts. I'm gonna press F1 to go to the wiki. DataStore service. This object is server-side only. You can only use the DataStore service in a server script, because if you used it in a local script, then that would not be okay, because the client can't have access to that kind of stuff. So, get ordered data store and get data store are the two things we're going to use. Local ds equals game get service data store service get data store test. This is all you need to do to call your data store. This string here, it's just whatever you want to call the data store. It really doesn't matter. So now I am going to set up some stuff here. Connect function player. We're gonna make a folder in server storage, call it stat file, because why not? So we're gonna store our stats server side here in server storage where the players can't access it, instead of usually they're in a leader stats inside the player or something. So we're just going to store them server side because that's safer. It's just safer, I guess. It's nice and organized. I don't know, if you run a test server you can just view stats easily from here, I guess. Just always use server storage, it's just the safest way to go. Stat numbers equals local player folder equals instance.new folder. A new folder in stat file player folder's name is going to be the player's name. Now we're going to make another folder called stat numbers. It's also a folder, it's inside of the player's folder. I don't know why sometimes I use single quotes and then other times I use double quotes, but now it's bothering me because I want to keep it consistent. I like to use stat numbers instead of leader stats. Obviously, it's whatever you want. Local kills equals instance dot new int value inside of stat numbers. Kills dot name equals kills des. Cache local misc stuff equals instance.new folder in the player folder. Misc stuff.name equals misc. God, I'm so inconsistent. Okay, whatever. Okay, now that we have that sorted out, we're going to make a function called save values, argument of the player. players dot player removing connect function player save values player. Okay. Load data, save data. Okay, let's go back to the documentation for a second. Okay, now we're looking at a global data store. It exposes functions for saving, load, blah blah blah. Okay, so mainly what we're going to use here is set async and get async. Async is short for asynchronous, which means running at the same time, meaning your code doesn't yield to this, meaning it doesn't stop for this. So get async, it returns the value of the entry in the data store with the given key. Set async sets the value of the key, overwrites any existing data stored in the key. So you're probably wondering what the heck I'm doing at this point. I think I'm going to write out the code first. Local saved stuff equals ds get async player.user ID. So the player's user ID is going to be the key to their saved values. We can only unlock their saved values with the key that is their user ID. You don't want it to be the player's name because the name is subject to change. The user ID is always constant. You don't want it to be any random string because then it's not unique to each player, which it needs to be for everyone to have their own unique data. If you just had any old plain string and here is the key, then everyone would have the same data. Every time someone's data was saved, it would overwrite, or every time someone's data was loaded, it would just be overwritten and it'd be weird. So get async is either going to be their saved data or nil. So if saved stuff, then we are going to load their data in. So right here we're just creating all the stats that we want them to have. Oh god, a text. Okay, so this is all the stuff, all the stats we want them to have, all the folders that it's going to be allocated to. Local saved data equals an empty table. So we're going to save all this stuff inside of an empty table. And the reason we're going to do that is because we want it to be as flexible as possible. We want to be able to add and remove values at will. So instead of just saving one string, one integer, or whatever, and having multiple data stores, because that would be hard on the server. I'm going to open this DataStore manual link. Limitations. So what I said about having only one data store, it's important to have only one data store and just save all your stuff in a table, because that way the data is nice and compressed and it doesn't take up so much memory. I don't know if that's accurate, correct me if I'm wrong. But anyway, you can only use get async and set async, among other things, so many times. This is the requests allowed per minute. You probably won't go over this if you just stick to saving data when they leave. Maybe you could add an auto save interval for every player, which would be safe as long as you know what you're doing. So yeah, there's that request limit. There's a data limit per value. The name of the data store can't exceed 50 characters, neither can the key, which is the player ID, so I don't see that being a problem. The scope it can't exceed 50 characters. We're not worried about the scope now because it's global. And data, the stuff we're saving, it can't exceed more than 260,000 bytes. So unless you're doing something wrong, you're probably not going to surpass 260,000 bytes of data. I'm going to show you guys how to see how much data you're taking up. You can't save instances with DataStores. Unlike data persistence, DataStores cannot save ROBLOX instances directly. They can only save numbers. They can only save strings. Numbers, strings, bools, that's pretty much it, I guess. Tables with mixed list / record style will be cut off. Yeah, whatever you're saving, you can't have a mix. Your table can't have mixed keys, meaning it can't have both string keys and integer keys in it, else it's gonna frick up. I think I went over that in a previous video on dictionaries, so you should know the difference between, or you should know what a table with mixed keys is, even though I just explained it still. So, saving at game close, that's another thing I need to go over. Okay. So, game bind to close function, for I player in pairs, game.players, get players, do save values player. I just went ahead and typed that out. This is the one function. You can only have one of these in all your server scripts. You can only define this once. A function that is binded to the game's closing, meaning like when the last player of the server leaves, or I think maybe if the server is shut down or something. This is the function that's going to run when that happens. This is just to give the server extra time to save all the players' data when they leave. Yeah, so there's just extra time for that. Anyway, so we have this. We're going to save values when the player leaves, when the game ends. I just thought of something. Yeah, I think I can still. Okay, yeah, sorry, I was considering how I was going to show you guys how to see how much data you're taking up, which I think I can do. Print game get service, HTTP service, HTTP JSON encode, okay. JSON encode saved stuff. I'm gonna put that right there. I'm pretty sure that'll work. If it's not, I'll fix. If not, I'll fix it. If save stuff, then we're gonna load stuff. But first, we need to save stuff. For IV in pairs. This might be a little difficult with more than one folder. Okay, for now, we're just gonna save things in one folder, I think. I gotta think on this. Yeah, for now I think it's gonna be better this way. I was gonna code this differently, in a different way that would have total support for like folders inside folders and stuff, but it would make it a lot harder to add and remove things to the data store, which is one reason we're using tables in the first place, to make all that easier. Okay, so we're just gonna go with this for now. For IV in pairs, stat file index by player.name dot stat numbers get children do saved data plus 1 equals v dot name v dot value. This is pretty much another way of doing table dot insert. Save data, the length of the table plus 1 is, yeah, that's what we're doing. We're adding it to the end of the table. So we're pushing it to the end of the table, that's what it's really called. For IV in pairs saved stuff do if I modulus 2 equals 0, which means every second index, then we're going to stat file, we're gonna load in the value, and all these values are 0 by default. Local thing equals instance.new bool value stat numbers thing dot name equals thing. I just figured I should add in a bool value there and actually a string value too. Local str equals instance.new string value. Okay. Stat file player.name stat numbers find first child save stuff I -1 value equals v. Yeah, so we are, since every 2 values is going to be the value of whatever we're saving, like the kills, the first index, or the index before that at least, is going to be the name. So think of it this way, it's going to look like, actually I'm just going to print it out, print IV, and then you can see when we load it in. Shoot, I just realized that I should probably do this all in an actual gameplay so that we can test it. Oopsies. Because we can't test DataStores in Studio. Is this empty? Frick. I should have had stuff ready. Yeah, this is empty enough, it seems. DataStore stat file. Okay, this is just an empty file. So, blah blah blah. Okay. I don't like how Roblox made those auto-generated thumbnails. They're ugly. For IV in pairs game dot stat file dot wrath game dot server storage dot stat file dot wrath song dot stat numbers get children do print I and V. IV and v dot value. So yeah, you see all this here equals this is a string. I should have done that from the start. Numbers.kills.value equals 9001. Yeah, let's do that. That's cool. So we just set a value to 9001, a physical value, and now we print out again. That's what it looks like. So we're gonna exit out, refresh, go back. See if it's saved. I think I did something wrong. Yeah, I did do something wrong. I forgot to set async. ds set async player.user ID and the key. Save data. Yeah, I did that right. Control P, date. Now we need to, nothing saved yet. So now we need to set that again. Let's leave and see if it's saved. Okay, so this is the entire table that we just saved. This number 70 is how much data we're taking up, how many bytes of data. So, like I said before, the first index is going to be the name of what we're saving. The second is going to be the value. So it goes kills and the value 9001, deaths 0, cache 0, thing false, string. This is a string. This is a string dot value equals rect. No, of course it's not, because I'm stupid. Dot thing dot value equals true. This dot value equals 69. So you can see we just changed a bunch of stuff. I'm gonna leave and come back. And what do you know? It all saved. So data takes up. Yeah, there we go. Of 260,000 bytes. So, that's how to make a basic working data store with a table. Gosh, this video is probably really long, which is what I wanted to avoid. But, oh well. At least you guys who had patience to watch through the entire video, you guys are gonna know what you're doing now. I might make another data store video in the future, doing this different or better way or something. I think I'm gonna make a video definitely on order data stores, the other type of data store I mentioned, which oh god, which is for you can only save a single int value in it, integer, which is a whole number. Those are mainly used for leaderboards, like global leaderboards, cross-server leaderboards, so to speak. Yeah, I think this is it. I am not going to open source the code in the description because I feel like it would be best for you guys to write it out yourselves, because you learn that way. Something else you guys need to know. Since the values are physical and they're server-sided, By physical, I mean test server. This is what I mean by physical. They're stored in physical manifestations. You're gonna need to use a remote event or a remote function to access them from, say, the client to display on a GUI element or something. So I have videos on remote events, remote functions. I need to start making more filtering enabled videos, because I don't know if you guys heard or not, but Roblox, if your game is not filtering enabled compatible, then it's not going to be available to people under 13. So they're closing all non-filtering enabled games to people under 13. They're also enforcing a filtered chat, or not just a filtered chat. If you have a custom chat, you need to use their filter on it, which I'll make a scripting video on how to do, because it does require code. And basically any other form of text input that, oh god, I just got a Steam message. Anyway, yeah, you need to use filter string async, which is a method of chat service maybe. I'll make a separate video on it. Basically, you just need to have filtered text input. God, I'm rambling tonight. Okay, so this is it for now, guys. I think that's what my next video is going to be on. Filter string async, or filtering messages, filtering text input, and yeah, I need to start pushing out a lot more filtering enabled content for that reason. Okay, I'm going to end this now. I will see you guys next time.